The next morning, when Marcus handed over the logbook at 6 on the dot, Aaron looked confused. "I wasn't here early," Aaron said, flipping through the pages. "What are you talking about?" Marcus laughed it off, a little too quickly. "Guess I was seeing things." But the unease stayed with him. The night shift at Gray Line Distribution was supposed to be quiet. That was the one thing everyone told Marcus Hale when he took the job. The warehouse sat on the edge of an industrial park where the streetlights thinned out and the city seemed to forget itself. A long, low building of concrete and corrugated steel, surrounded by a chain-link fence that rattled in the wind. Inside, the air always smelled faintly of dust, oil, and old cardboard. It was the kind of place where footsteps echoed. Marcus liked it that way. He was 26, saving up to move out of his sister's place, and the night shift paid a little more. 12-hour shifts, 6 at night to 6 in the morning. Walk the perimeter every hour. Watch the cameras in between. Sign the logbook. Call the supervisor if anything felt off. On his first night, the supervisor, a heavy-set man named Dale, with a coffee cup permanently glued to his hand, gave him the usual rundown. Emergency exits, alarm codes, where the flashlight batteries were kept. Then Dale leaned in and lowered his voice. "One more thing," he said. "Your replacement comes in at 6 sharp. Name's Aaron. He'll take the chair. You hand him the logbook, and you're done. Don't leave early, and don't let him in early. Company policy." Marcus nodded. It sounded simple enough. The guard booth sat just inside the main gate, a small glass box with a desk, a rolling chair, and a bank of monitors. A stray cat that kept setting off one of the motion sensors. A delivery truck that showed up at the wrong building and backed out with an apology. By the end of the week, Marcus had settled into a routine. Coffee at midnight, a lap around the fence at 1, another at 3. Watch the cameras until dawn. On the 6th night, something changed. At 4:58 (m), Marcus was leaning back in the chair, staring at the loading bay feed when the main gate camera flickered. He leaned forward. The gate itself hadn't moved, but the image stuttered for half a second, like a skipped frame. Then a figure appeared on the other side of the fence, standing just beyond the reach of the lights. Marcus squinted at the monitor. The man raised a hand and waved. Marcus's first thought was that it had to be Aaron. Maybe he showed up early. Maybe he'd forgotten his badge and wanted Marcus to buzz him in. Marcus checked the clock in the corner of the screen. 4:59 (m). He grabbed the radio. "Hey," he said, trying to keep his voice casual. "Gate's locked until 6. You can hang tight." The man didn't move. He just stood there, facing the camera, his face too dark to make out. Marcus stood up and walked to the booth door, peering through the glass. The gate was about 30 yards away, lit by a single overhead lamp that buzzed faintly. Under the light, he could see the man clearly now. It was Aaron. At least, it looked like him. Marcus had only met him once, in passing. But he recognized the tall frame, the shaved head, the gray hoodie under the security jacket. Aaron lifted both hands and knocked on the fence. Marcus frowned. Policy says 6, Marcus called out through the glass. You okay? Aaron smiled. It was a quick, tight thing. Gone almost as soon as it appeared. Just tired, man, Aaron said. Long night. Mind letting me in? Marcus hesitated. He thought of Dale's voice, low and serious. Don't let him in early. Can't, Marcus said. 5 minutes. Aaron's smile faded. He nodded once, then stepped back, out of the light, into the shadow beyond the fence. Marcus went back to his chair, uneasy. He kept one eye on the clock, one on the gate camera. 5:01 . The camera flickered again. Aaron was gone. Marcus leaned closer to the monitor. He rewound the feed a few seconds, watched the static jump, and then the image smoothed out. The spot beyond the fence was empty. He told himself Aaron had just walked off to wait somewhere else. The next morning, when Marcus handed over the logbook at 6 on the dot, Aaron looked confused. I wasn't here early, Aaron said, flipping through the pages. What are you talking about? Marcus laughed it off, a little too quickly. Guess I was seeing things. But the unease stayed with him. 2 nights later, it happened again. 4:58, .m. The flicker, the figure at the fence. This time, Marcus didn't get up. He watched through the camera. Aaron stood in the same place, under the same light. He raised a hand, slow and deliberate, and pressed it flat against the chain link. Marcus picked up the radio. You're early again, he said. You messing with me? The man's head tilted slightly, like he was listening. Then his lips moved. The radio crackled to life in Marcus's hand. Open the gate, Marcus. Marcus froze. He hadn't told Aaron his name. Marcus stood up, heart hammering, and went to the booth door again. The man beyond the fence looked wrong in a way Marcus couldn't quite explain. The jacket hung a little too loose. The smile, when it came, didn't reach the eyes. Who told you my name? Marcus called. Aaron didn't answer. He just lifted a hand and pointed, slowly, toward the warehouse behind Marcus. Marcus turned without thinking, scanning the dark rows of shelves and loading bays. When he looked back, the fence was empty. The rest of the shift crawled by. Marcus jumped at every sound, every pop of cooling metal, every whisper of wind against the building. The next day, he asked Dale about it. Dale's face tightened. You didn't let him in early, did you? Dale asked. No, Marcus said, but he keeps showing up before 6. Dale stared at him for a long moment, then shook his head. Just stay in the booth, he said. You see anything weird, you call me. Don't go out there. On the 10th night, the man didn't wait for 4:58. At 3:17 .m, every monitor in the booth went black at once. Marcus swore and slapped the side of the console. The screens flickered back on, one by one. On every feed, the same image filled the frame. The inside of the booth. He was alone. The booth was empty except for him. The version of Marcus on the screens leaned forward. It smiled. The radio on the desk crackled. Shift change, a voice said. It sounded like Aaron. It sounded like Marcus. The door handle turned, slow and steady, like someone on the other side was testing the lock. Policy says 6, the voice said through the radio. "But I'm early." Marcus backed away until he hit the far wall of the booth. "Go away," he whispered. The monitors went back to normal in a rush of static. The door handle went still. Silence filled the booth. Marcus didn't move until the sky outside the glass began to lighten, the dark bleeding into a dull gray. At 6 o'clock, a dot M on the dot, the real Aaron showed up at the gate, yawning, coffee in hand. Marcus didn't look at him. He grabbed his jacket, dropped the logbook on the desk, and walked past without a word. He quit that morning. He hasn't been sleeping. He keeps saying someone's coming to take his shift. They found Marcus sitting on the edge of his bed, fully dressed, eyes fixed on the door. He looked up when they came in. "Do you know what time it is?" he asked. No footprints, no witnesses. At Gray Line Distribution, the night shift still runs from 6 to 6. The logbook sits on the desk in the booth, filled with names and times and neat, careful handwriting. Every morning, at exactly 4:58, a dot M, a new name appears at the bottom of the page. Replacement arrived early, and the camera at the gate always flickers when it's written. If something can clock in before you're gone, how do you know you ever really clocked out?